He told me he didn't want me to meet his friend, yet. She walked into our restaurant 2 hours later, same one he said he'd never been to. I stood, pulled out her chair, and said, "You're just in time." I'm not good at ignoring gut feelings, especially not after what I went through in my first marriage. That gut feeling saved me once before, and I should have listened to it sooner this time too. But when someone lies slowly, in pieces, they make you question your own damn sanity before you even realize what's happening. My name's Dawn. I'm 38, live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I work for a small insurance agency on the west side of town. My life's not glamorous, but it's steady. I take care of my mother, who's getting older and needs help around the house. I keep a tight circle of friends. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I don't play games. So when someone does that to me, I don't just walk away. I leave ashes. I met Nate at a friend's bonfire in Sevierville 3.5 years ago. He was tall, bearded, broad shoulders, that kind of guy who could fix anything with his hands and tell you he doesn't watch TV because he's too busy building things. Women like that kind of man around here. So did I back then. He was charming in a quiet way. Not over the top. Just present. Focused. He made me feel like I mattered, like he listened to every word I said. I'd had guys drift off halfway through my sentences before. Not Nate. When we started dating, he'd show up with my favorite coffee without asking, fix broken light switches in my mom's place, take my car in for oil changes without needing to be told. After about 1.5 years, I moved in with him. His house was small, but clean. Tidy. There was one drawer he never let me near. He called it his work junk. That should have been my first red flag. But I figured every man's got a drawer of mystery crap. It was around that time I started hearing the name Rachel. She says I should cut out red meat. Rachel thinks I'm too old to be doing late-night service calls. Rachel said that movie sucked. Rachel. 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 I didn't know a damn thing about her except she clearly had opinions about everything. So one night, while we were watching TV, I asked, "Who's Rachel?" He didn't flinch. Just took a sip of his beer and said, "Old friend. Known her since high school." "You still talk a lot?" He shrugged. "We check in now and then." It didn't feel like a lie, but it didn't feel honest either. Something about how he said it, casual but stiff. Like he'd practiced it. I asked to meet her once. We were out with some of his friends at a bar downtown, and I brought her up again. He said, "Not yet." "Why not?" He downed his whiskey before answering. "She's complicated." "Is she your ex?" He shook his head. "No. Never slept together. She just doesn't do well around new people." It was weird, but I let it go. What was I gonna do? Demand he parade every woman he knew in front of me like I was TSA? Fast forward to this past Saturday. We'd been fighting more lately. Little things. He was spending more time on his phone. Turning it over when I came in the room. He said it was work stress. I said I understood. That morning, he suggested we try this new place, Copper and Oak. "I thought you hated trendy places," I said. "Yeah, but this one's supposed to be good." "I've never been." Sounded fine. He seemed excited. I made a reservation for 7 o'clock. Around 4:30, while we were both getting ready, I was doing my makeup and asked again, half joking, "So, when do I get to meet the famous Rachel?" He stiffened. "Not this again." "I'm just asking. She's not ready to meet you. She's a grown woman, Nate." He turned from the mirror. "Why are you pushing this?" "Because you talk about her more than you talk about your own brother." He didn't respond. We rode to the restaurant in near silence. When we got there, he looked around like he expected to see someone. I asked him again, "You sure you've never been here?" He nodded. "First time." We sat. Ordered drinks. I pretended to enjoy myself while his eyes darted to the entrance every few minutes like a nervous raccoon. Then it happened. 7:52 p.m. A woman walked through the door, tall and thin, white wool coat, boots that probably cost more than my car's tires. Dark red hair in a loose bun. Light makeup, but she didn't need much. She looked like someone who was used to getting what she wanted without raising her voice. And Nate's face turned to stone. She told the hostess her name. I couldn't hear it. I didn't need to. I knew. She scanned the room. I stood up, walked straight toward her. My heart was racing, but I kept my steps even. Rachel? I asked. She smiled politely. Yes. I jerked my thumb toward our table. Come join us. You're just in time. She looked confused, then followed me slowly. When she saw Nate, her whole face changed. I thought you said you were single. I sat down. Nate didn't. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing. Rachel looked at me, then back at him. What the hell is this? And that's when everything started to unravel. Rachel didn't sit. She stood there, arms crossed, staring Nate down like she'd just caught a dog eating out of the trash. Nate finally spoke. Rachel, I can explain. I cut in. No, Nate. Don't explain to her. Explain to me. Rachel turned to me, her voice low but sharp. You didn't know about me, did you? Nope, I said. All I knew was your name. He made sure of that. She gave a bitter laugh. Of course he did. Nate tried again. Okay, just calm down. We don't need to do this here. Oh, I think we do, I said. This is the restaurant you told me you've never been to. Yet you're standing here looking like you know every light fixture on the damn ceiling. Rachel narrowed her eyes. He brought me here 2 weeks ago. We sat at that corner table. He said he'd never been here before, either. There it was. He'd used the same lie twice. I stared at him. Were you planning to rotate us through the same date spots like a timeshare? Nate's face was red, his jaw tight. Dawn, please. Can we talk about this in private? No, Rachel said. We're not doing damage control behind closed doors. You lied to me. Told me your ex-wife destroyed your ability to trust women. Said you were rebuilding. Said I was the first person who made you feel safe again. Same speech he gave me, I added. Word for word. Rachel looked at me with something close to pity. How long have you been together? 3 years. We live together. Her mouth dropped slightly. She looked at Nate again. You absolute piece of shit. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling. What are you doing? He asked. She ignored him and handed the phone to me. Texts. Dozens. Calls. Photos from the last year. Him and her at a cabin. Him in her kitchen. Flowers. Notes. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just nodded, handed the phone back, and said, okay. Rachel's voice got quiet. How long have you known? Since he got twitchy about you. Since he lied about never being here. She looked at him, then at me. What do you want to do? I smiled. Something slow. Something that hurts. Nate stepped toward us, palms up. You two are overreacting. Rachel smacked her hand on the table, loud enough to turn heads. Don't say that. He froze. Don't you dare minimize this. I'm not some random girl you slept with on a work trip. You told me you wanted a future. You told me you loved me. He looked at me. Dawn, I stood. Don't. Rachel turned to leave. I followed her. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because what Nate didn't know yet was that while he was stringing us both along, I'd already made a backup of his phone. 2 weeks ago. While he was in the shower. I had everything. And now I had an ally. Rachel and I didn't speak in the parking lot. We both just stood there in the cold night air, breathing hard, hands shaking from anger, not fear. She finally broke the silence. You have a copy of his phone? I nodded. Yeah. I'm not proud of it, but I knew something was off. She stared at me for a second, then gave a slow nod. I wish I had. I opened my purse, pulled out a flash drive. It's all here. Screenshots, call logs, location history. Even some photos he didn't know auto-uploaded to his cloud. She took the drive without hesitation. We weren't friends. Not yet. But we were something stronger in that moment. We were the two women he thought would never compare notes. The two women he thought he could keep on opposite ends of his life like mismatched furniture. He was wrong. By Sunday morning, we had a plan. Rachel worked in marketing, and her ex-boyfriend, who she was still on civil terms with, was a graphic designer. I told her I had access to Nate's work schedule through his shared Google Calendar. Between the two of us, we knew exactly when and where he'd be all week. But we weren't just going to confront him again. We were going to expose him. See, Nate's HVAC business was small, but he had a decent reputation in town. Mostly older customers, small businesses, some long-time property managers. His name was on the business, his face on the Facebook page, all that. Rachel had the idea to hit him where it hurt, his brand. Monday, I called off work. Told my boss I had a family emergency. She didn't ask questions. Rachel met me at a coffee shop on Kingston Pike with a laptop, her ex, and a layout of the plan. We spent 5 hours designing a fake customer review page, complete with photos from both of our relationships with Nate. Dinner pics, bed selfies, text screenshots that showed how he told us both he wasn't ready for anything serious on the same day. With timestamps. We made it all look like a review blog. Meet Nate R., the title said. He'll fix your air conditioning. And wreck your life. It was brutal. But it was just the beginning. The next morning, the site went live. Rachel sent the link to 5 of his biggest clients using an anonymous burner email. She didn't say a word, just included the link and wrote, "Thought you'd like to know who you're doing business with." Then I did the same, but to his suppliers. And to the guy who owns the strip mall where Nate rents his little office. By Wednesday, the calls started. He must have known we had something to do with it, but he didn't know how deep it went. I started getting texts, calls, voicemails. Dawn, what the hell are you doing? Can we talk? You're going too far. You're ruining me. I didn't respond. I was too busy printing copies of his flirty texts to Rachel, the ones he sent while he was in bed with me, and mailing them to his mother. Rachel mailed a copy to his church. We weren't trying to destroy him. We were just showing the world who he really was. And we weren't even close to done. By Friday, his company's Facebook page was gone. He took it down himself. Probably after the 5th or 6th comment from angry customers and random locals who saw the link Rachel and I accidentally posted in a local Facebook group for homeowners. He called again. This time, I answered. "You're going to get me sued," he said. His voice sounded hoarse. Tired. Like he hadn't slept in days. "You're scared of getting sued?" I said. "You should be more worried about who else might want to sue you." "Dawn," he started. I cut him off. "You know that client of yours? The one you said had a wife who was a little too friendly? You bragged about that for weeks. Want me to send her a copy of those messages?" Silence. I hung up. Later that night, I got a DM from a number I didn't know. Woman's name was Carla. Said she saw the blog. She sent a screenshot of her and Nate, arm in arm at a wine bar in Nashville. She thought she was his girlfriend, too. That made 3 of us. Carla said she'd met him on a job a year ago. He came out to fix a unit on her company's building. Said he was single. Said he lived alone. Said he was looking for something real. Same damn story. Rachel looped her in. We added Carla's story to the blog. Her texts, her photos, even a note he'd written her on the back of a receipt. One of those, "I can't believe I found someone like you" kind of notes. It was like he had a script. On Sunday morning, Nate showed up at my mom's house. I wasn't staying at our place anymore. I'd taken everything I needed and left. I didn't even leave a note, just the keys on the table and the locks changed behind him. I looked through the blinds. He was pacing on the porch. I opened the door just enough to speak through the screen. "You need to leave." He looked awful, pale, with heavy bags under his eyes. "Can we talk? Please?" I didn't say anything. I lost 2 contracts last week. I've had to fire one of my guys. My church won't take my calls. My mom won't either. You made your point. "No," I said. "Not yet. Why are you doing this? Because you played me. You played all of us. You had a good woman at home, and it wasn't enough. So now you're going to know what it feels like to lose everything. He leaned against the porch post. I never wanted to hurt you. I laughed. You planned it. You built a life around it. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was strategy. You picked women who wouldn't know each other. You lied for years. You don't get to call this a mistake. He stepped forward. I shut the inner door hard enough to make him flinch. He got the message. He walked back to his truck. I watched him drive off. That night, Carla found another girl. Younger. From a nearby town. She thought he was single too. That made four. We didn't stop. Not yet. Because this wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about warning every woman in a 100-mile radius what kind of man Nate really was. And we were just getting louder. By the second week, the blog had gone semi-viral in our region. People started tagging his business in warning posts. Reviews on Yelp and Google dropped to 1 star across the board. Not because we asked, we never told anyone to lie, but because people shared their own horror stories. Turns out, we weren't the only ones he'd treated like trash. A few ex-employees came forward, too. Said he'd shorted them on paychecks, pocketed extra from clients, and told racist or crude jokes behind customers' backs. Rachel added their stories to the blog. We gave them fake names to protect them, but the stories were real. By the third week, Nate's business was gone. The office space he rented? Evicted. His work truck? Repossessed. Turns out, it wasn't even paid off. His reputation? Shot to hell. He tried to start a new business under a different name, N&R Mechanical. But word got around fast. Too fast. The women he'd wronged made sure of that. And then the fallout came for me too. One of Nate's friends, a guy I used to think was decent, started messaging me, telling me I'd gone too far. That I should have just broken up with him and moved on. Why burn his whole life down, he asked. I didn't respond. But it got under my skin. Because the truth was, I had gone further than I thought I would. I didn't just want him gone. I wanted him humiliated. Alone. I wanted to look him in the eyes and see regret. And I did. But it didn't feel good. Not completely. Rachel felt it too. A few weeks after everything went public, we got lunch. She looked tired. Worn down. Like all the adrenaline had drained out of her. I don't know what I thought I'd feel, she said. But it wasn't this. What do you mean? She shrugged. I thought revenge would fix it. But it didn't. He still wasted my time. Still made me feel like a fool. That doesn't go away. I nodded. Yeah. But at least now he knows what it feels like. We didn't talk much after that. Carla blocked both of us a month later. Said she didn't want to relive it anymore. I couldn't blame her. The younger girl, Jess, sent me one last message. Thanks, it said. You saved me. That was the only thing that made it feel worth it. As for Nate? Last I heard, he left town. Word was he moved to Kentucky, started doing under-the-table repair work for cash. No website. No phone number listed. No Facebook. Just vanished. And me? I took some time off. Moved back in with my mom for a while. Started therapy. I'm still not ready to date again. Probably won't be for a long time. But I learned something through all this. Some people need to be exposed. Some men will lie until the day they die, unless someone puts the truth in front of them like a mirror they can't look away from. And when you've been quiet for too long, when you've swallowed your doubts and smiled through lies sometimes, burning it all down is the only way to breathe again. I don't regret what I did, but I carry it every day, because revenge doesn't heal you. It just makes damn sure the wound isn't yours alone to bear.